but the American people couldn't think that? Well, no, because they're irredeemably racist and sexist and, whatever.
And if you walked in my shoes, you would know that.
Yeah.
Sir.
If I walked in her shoes, I would get jobs I don't deserve all the time. I mean, I had to create a job that I don't deserve, which is this podcast, right?
That is it's more true than we want to know.
We know of new methods of attack. The Trojan horse, the fifth column.
Greetings and welcome back to another exciting installment of the Fifth Column Podcast. This is your weekly rhetorical assault on the news cycle, the people that make it, occasionally ourselves. I'm Kmele Foster, delighted to be here, joined by Matt Welch and Michael Moynihan.
Yes.
Michael Moynihan.
Yes, I am
as
here.
he's known sometimes. Gentlemen, how the hell are you? It's been a good week. I haven't seen you guys all week.
Has it been
a good hour.
You know what? It's been a good hour.
Every day that we get to spend together is a good day. Yeah. And I think we just have to thank God and the universe broadly for the many great miracles he sends our way.
Do you ever have like a dinner party and you've got everything prepared and you're putting it, and then the guest is like, hey.
The person that you invited
created
created the party for.
And it's like, oh, hey, I've got sickle cell, I can't come over, whatever people say.
Or like, I'm in a different state, for example.
And I'm like, I got all this food. You should have told me.
Yeah.
I just wonder if you ever experienced that.
No. Never invite.
Do you like Michael Jackson?
I like Clippers announcers. There's a lot of people I like.
Yeah. That's for you people at home to figure out.
Yeah.
Decode.
If you want to find out what it's like when the show is the opposite of what we prepared for, keep watching.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep watching. Speaking of keep watching, Michael, is there anything that the viewers and listeners at home should be tuning into this Friday on HBO at like 7 p.m.?
That Penguin series is pretty good.
Yeah.
You seen that one? I like that one. I guess, if you want to. I'm going to do Mars show on Friday. The great thing about the Mars show, with the exception of Matt, by the way, they call you that you always go on, right? It's like
they bump.
You get bumped.
Everyone gets bumped.
Everyone's bumped for news.
Matt has also been on 500 times.
I still think
17.
you are.
I'm not counting.
Is that true?
Yeah,
17 times.
There's a Wikipedia list and a ranking.
Where are you on the ranking?
Andrew Sullivan is up near the top. Ann Coulter is up near the top.
But where are you? You're like top 10 though.
I'm top
Is
10
there
or
any
top
people
15.
that didn't have a relationship with Bill that are above you?
Well, I mean,
It's public knowledge,
Matt
right?
certainly did.
Andrew Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay.
Ann Coulter, I think that was. I read that somewhere. If that's wrong, Bill, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're not. He's not going to watch. So sorry. Doing that on Friday.
But who's sitting with you on the big couch?
We'll see.
Really?
I don't know if they announced it yet.
I mean, I could look online. They usually do.
I think on today.
But maybe today
do.
is the day.
Yeah.
It is a member.
Yeah, so by the time this drops, probably.
It is a member of Congress who is known by 3 initials, and there are 2 of those. Both of them are ladies, and it's MTG. Yeah.
Laser technology specialist.
Yeah. She apologized for that.
Yeah. Oh, already defending her, I see.
I think she did.
Wow.
I think it was because she got caught kind of thing. I'm not sure that.
Did she even apologize, or did she just? I mean, well, not lasers exactly.
Yeah, well, I saw today. I
like her accent.
I wasn't. Yeah,
She's from Georgia.
Yeah. No, I saw something today. It was my favorite Twitter follower, Mike Cernovich, and I just happened to come. I wasn't searching for anything, and it said something about MTG, and like they're lying about her again. Like the Jewish space lasers myth.
Oh, okay.
Myth.
Said, is this a myth?
That was not a myth.
So I looked it up, and she said Rothschild. She didn't say Jewish.
Right, the Rothschild lasers.
But the Rothschilds are usually associated with a particular religion and people. Yeah.
I think it's more that they're financiers.
Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein, the New York financier.
Yeah, I do like precision. I can appreciate getting it right. And
I will not be saying, well, yeah, that's okay. I don't think it's okay.
Yeah, I imagine you guys won't be adjudicating that this week. There are plenty of other things happening in the world.
No, it's a panel. We're on the panel, so I mean, it's whatever stories they throw at us. If it comes up, it comes up. But I don't plan on. It's just there's plenty of recent stuff to focus on. I mean, you don't need to focus on that.
A lot of interesting things there. I mean, certainly the new distance between her and the administration and the party more generally with respect to the shutdown, which is continuing. I suppose I could check the White House website to find out how long it's been going on at this point.
And I think that there's something. I've never ever given her credit for anything, and I don't intend to. except for the one very small thing is, and I think there are reasons for it, which I don't think are the most admirable things in the world, but she has broken with the party pretty considerably recently. I mean, she's taking out the kind of Josh Hawley position. And just on the very boring fact that people don't often do that in the party is interesting.
I think we're going to see people with the shutdown, because I've already seen it in the media on Fox and Friends, New York Post, and some members of Congress, like doing sort of weepy, like our brave flight controllers. They didn't get their paycheck this week.
Yeah.
These are our first responders.
They've been doing a great job, especially in D.C.
Yeah, the New York area. They've also been the three that have showed up to work over the past 10 years.
Exactly.
Are
Who
doing
I think
a
are
heck of a
all
job.
illegal immigrants. The planes go down. I don't know. It's go up. What? There's a recording of it. Have you not heard this?
Yeah.
It's called Plane Go Down, Don't Go Up. It's on YouTube.
Number one on the charts.
Well, obviously, you do the game of chicken on a shutdown, and everyone's always trying to figure out who's going to get the most blame politically, which is probably not the best way of thinking about this. But of course, when it starts hitting your constituents and you're running for re-election, et cetera, these are pretty important things. The second people stop getting their paychecks, if you're a government worker, fine, you can make an argument there. But it's the healthcare thing. This idea of 42 million people. But then again, I mean, the government employees union just chastised the Democrats and said, get out there. They're offering a clean CR, start from and do it. So that's pretty interesting.
It will call into attention how much Democrats are dependent on public sector unions for everything. They put their interests above the people who the public sector unions are supposed to serve 90 times out of 10, I think.
So, I mean, I think this will come to a close soon. We'll see what happens, because I think it's Saturday with the Obamacare stuff and the healthcare stuff, if they don't act before Saturday.
Gosh, we are at the end of the month.
Yeah. I mean, it's been going on for a full month, by the way. And it shows you how bored we are of these things. And remember the first government shut, that was like Newt Gingrich era, right? And that was like the biggest story.
There had been some before then, but that was like the modern theatical shutdown. I think it was
of like the Mexican standoff, Latinx standoff, sorry, where handing, everyone has a gun to the other person's head, and it's like, who's going to pull the trigger first and who gets blame? And that's all the whole conversation is. But, there's decent arguments being made actually to both sides, on both sides. In the sense that, like, the one Democrat, the Democratic talking point that I agree with is that on the healthcare stuff, it's the problem Republicans have had for a very long time. If not this, then what? They don't have a very solid. I mean, remember the first Trump term was what did they call? What was the acronym? Trump's like American healthcare, blah, blah, blah. It was Obamacare in the Trump version, which was so poorly packaged and really ill-conceived and didn't go anywhere. And you have all this time to come up with something, and they just have nothing.
And haven't been doing the work.
They haven't been doing the work.
None of the superstructure has been doing the work.
No, MTG, as far as like her political instincts on that, it's on that issue that she is bucking. There's the Israel stuff too, which is like insane in so many ways. But that stuff is pretty interesting, and the fact that she does understand the MAGA stuff better than a lot of the MAGA people do. A lot of the MAGA people are on board with Trump because he's the dear leader, right? She seems on this issue, on this one issue, to understand what the MAGA voters are interested in, which is the kind of Josh Hawley understands that too.
We also see this
I think they're both wrong.
And we might have been able to talk about this in the other show that we've been preparing for, but 5 Republicans this week voted.
The one about the anniversary of Thriller?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Great show.
Super good.
Yeah.
Dancing. Wig choice.
By the way, maybe this didn't happen because the shutdown ended.
Oh.
Who knows? Maybe we don't know.
5 Republican senators broke against Trump to get rid of his ability to arbitrarily slap tariffs on Brazil.
Do you know who the 5 are offhand?
Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul,
Susan Collins,
Murkowski, and Kristen Sinema.
Wait, she's not here.
Tom Tillis.
She's not here.
Tom Tillis.
What is this disinformation coming from the rafters
Tom
over here?
Tillis.
Tom
Tillis.
Yeah.
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 He's the one with the stutter, right?
She went to jail, I think. Right. She's not in jail. Well, I want to counter misinformation with more misinformation. That's what we do here. Right?
That's true.
double. No one cares.
She's having
biggest podcast in the country is fucking.
She's having an
Candace
affair
Owens.
with Bill Maher, from what I understand.
Who?
Right.
Kristen Cinema.
According to who?
You were the one who was
more
spreading this
misinformation.
information.
Oh, you were
Yeah,
asking me to
see.
spread that one.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
so
I
much
had.
confusion.
If I wasn't going on a show tomorrow, I'd have a great response to that.
But here is the actual information, though, that we've already buried, which is that one, of course, you should subscribe to the YouTube channel that this is on, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
at We the Fifth.
At We the Fifth on
Yeah.
YouTube, at We the Fifth. And second, you should go to our Substack page. Which
One of these is free.
WeTheFifth.com.
At We the Fifth is free to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You're suggesting that people. Do
I'm
something
suggesting that if you want to have information about the tickets to the live show that we're doing in the greater LA
Just
area,
announced.
That's the announcement
just
right there.
just announcement
else. Yeah,
that you have the people who get first access are paying subscribers.
yeah. You
Yes.
can all come, but the first access is paying subscribers. and
We
you
always
get to
do
the
24 hours first for the Never Flight Coach, 24 hours for paying subscribers, and then everybody else can come on everywhere. And there's limited tickets, like
November
200 or so.
23rd at 7:30 p.m. in Burbank, California.
And there's going to be merch there, I hear.
I hear.
A possibility. Like,
Okay.
don't
hear.
count the chickens. We've said this before, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited for it because that's some of you I know are coming to the Megyn Kelly event, which is
The
Friday
21st.
21st. Yeah.
announced on Friday, and then we have the stadium event with Megyn Kelly, Peter Frampton's playing. Who's the opening band? Kiss.
I think it's Living Color and Guns N' Roses, and they're both going to break up after it. 'cause
I
the
think we'll
pressure's
probably
gonna get-
break up after that too.
Yeah, that's
as
true.
we get lustily booed from the audience. So, by the way, come to that show.
Yeah.
Come to both, but just so the boos don't overwhelm us, because it's a pretty. They boo us when they're driving in their car listening to Megan's show. Now it's in person.
Who are they going to boo the most out of the three of us?
God.
Probably you, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can play the local boy, though. I can, like, ingratiate
They
myself.
won't care.
Beach.
They won't care. They won't care.
Hello,
It won't
Long
matter.
Beach, Matthew. Yeah, you can try, but I think that when you say Trump is like a member of the SS or something, I think I might boo you off for that.
I think
Or they
Megan
might
has,
cheer.
It's
Orange
tradition.
Who
It is
knows?
tradition to bust your balls on her show.
Yeah.
She enjoys it, and everyone else seems to enjoy it a great deal. I can only imagine that they'll come with signs about you and their contempt for you, which is fine.
Should I dress
Probably
up
means
as
you're
Matt
doing
Walsh,
something right.
finally?
That'd be great.
Huge beard.
Enormous beard.
We'll actually just replace you with
You
Matt
should come
Walsh.
out with a big beard and then play the rich men from Richmond. People be confused. Which beard is this? Which beardy guy? Yeah, but the Megyn Kelly thing is that we did the episode, our launch with Megyn. If you haven't watched that, go back and do so. And I will say no details beyond the fact that I had dinner with a bunch of people and someone yelled at me at dinner for that episode.
Still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friend, very good friend.
Yeah.
Drunk. And I was like, eh.
I
And
thought-
I tried to get them to subscribe.
I thought
I was like,
Noam
we
could
were
handle his liquor by now.
No, this was not. But I said you have to subscribe and listen. I've addressed these questions, but it was good that
So not a real friend then.
no, very good friend
Yeah.
who is like, we have a lot of friends like this. A lot of friends are very supportive, but a few that come around and say, hey, you should have done this, should have done that. But that will happen on Saturday morning after the Bill Maher show too. It's the one kind of hazard of the job is that it's like sports in the sense that I'm like, why? I'm watching the World Series. I'm like, what the? No, don't do that. No. And I'm watching hockey. I'm always doing. There's like two guys in the slot opening, and you're always saying I can do it better than the professional.
Right.
I'm not really a professional, but the World Series has also been great, by the way.
Yeah, it's been
Can I
on.
have one comment about that?
Absolutely.
All the new rules. A lot of these that don't apply in the postseason, the World Series, like runner on second,
Ghost runner, which is garbage.
Ghost runner is garbage. I said, I want a limit on intentional walks.
That is going to probably get some traction after this.
Five
post.
fucking times they walk Ohtani because he was 2 for 4, right? He hit 2 home runs.
No, he was 4 for 4 with 2 home runs and 2 doubles.
2 doubles. That's right.
Yeah.
4 for 4. And he pitched last night, but that went again. And I stayed up till like 3 a.m. watching that game. I watched the whole thing.
I was texting with my mom, who's also listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
We were texting each other to keep each other awake.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I was
And
like,
she's on the West Coast.
yeah. Well, she's,
So you guys watch
older,
baseball
elderly.
together.
we don't not like fully, but like we
Levy and I
appreciate
text
sports.
during hockey games when we're not together.
I've
Last night
never
we did that. Yeah.
texted with my mother during a sporting event ever. Not once. We've never watched a sporting event together ever. I
Don't
can't even
watch
imagine that.
the old games. I'm like, what?
She
That's
doesn't.
not-
She doesn't sound exactly like
exactly that.
Her Jamaican accent is bastardized at this point.
Yeah. Ringo Seal.
It turns out I know you guys expressed so much concern about my friends and family back in Jamaica. And as I understand it, everyone is fine. No, not even.
I did yesterday.
Yeah.
When your eyes were bloodshot from whatever you did on the plane.
It was crying.
You're crying.
That's why your eyes were bloodshot because you were crying?
Yeah.
Well, that and also do you actually have family in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Because every time I bring up Jamaica, you're like, I'm from PG County, motherfucker.
I never said that.
Or whatever.
I'm born in
He
DC,
says,
but yeah.
That's when he plays a Scottish card.
Yeah,
there's a little bit of Jamaican, but mostly Scottish.
No, it's Scots Jamaican, which just sounds better than Jamaican Scots. I think that's.
By the way, would if there was like a bad weather event in like Glasgow, I would call you.
Yeah,
I'd be like, "Is your family okay?" Right. Like, great, Kmele. It's getting great windy. It's like, I think it'd be.
I'm not sure I've ever even visited Scotland. I don't think I have.
It's a lovely place.
Too much stabbing.
I will.
That's Glasgow.
Yeah,
the Glaswegians are a bit pokey, but it's an amazing place. And if you get outside of like Edinburgh and Glasgow, you might as well. Be in Lithuania. It's impossible to understand anyone, and it's hilarious. Those interactions, I'm like, what? What now? He's like, it's correct. It's like Kmele. And I was like, Kmele, what? And it's like, no, he said something totally different. But no, you should absolutely go to Scotland.
Yeah, I will at some point. But speaking of stabbings, which you mentioned a little while ago, we are in the great city.
You know who I want to stab?
Who's that?
Michael Jackson impersonators.
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
I'm talking about the guy on the train in New York City.
Right.
Who got choked out?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So you want to re-stab him now that he's already been killed?
Oh, he was killed.
Extrajudicioally by Danielle.
Since we're talking about New York, maybe we talk about the mayoral race, which is finally reaching its conclusion, at least by the time we record by the end of next week. Yeah. We'll have reached our conclusion. There has been a poll bounce. There's been some recent reporting that maybe the crypto markets, the betting markets, not the crypto markets, but you bet on the betting markets with crypto, are perhaps giving Cuomo some mild advantage because of a bunch of overseas bettors.
He went from 4% all the way to 12% in the betting markets.
Everyone seems to think that there might be some indication. I guess the early voting as well.
Yeah, the early voting is all
seems to trend in his direction, but we don't really know.
Trans rabbis from Park Slope. But what would those markets be that if it goes from 4 to 12 or whatever, if Curtis Lee were dropped out? Because I'm not so sure that it's an easy transfer for like Sliwa voters to just go over to Cuomo.
It's not easy for this Sliwa voter.
I mean, it's certainly on the ballot.
I would like fucking go through hell in a gasoline. I'm voting for Curtis.
Okay.
Yeah.
He hasn't hurt me and he's not a socialist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, Cuomo has run, in addition to...
And he said no to this podcast.
He
okay,
literally
fine.
said no to this podcast. So
Unlike other people.
Well, after saying yes.
After saying yes.
Yeah. Wait, Sliwa said yes?
No, not Sliwa. We didn't invite him on.
No, I know. I think he did say...
Hat.
Did we ask him and he said no? I think Sliwa... Oh, that was the other show that I do, the better show.
I've never heard of that. So. But no, Cuomo has like run the shittiest campaign. Like it was a shitty campaign when he was in the Democratic primary and lost to Mamdani.
Yeah,
and
then he disappeared for like a month and a half.
And he came back on like the Truth and Armpits party, whatever the hell it's called.
And the Working Squirrels party, or whatever he's in. Yeah.
And he's campaigned badly every debate. And thankfully, I don't sit down and watch them, but other people I know do, and then they bring me back clips. He's just like this sad guy with like protruding nipples. It's awful.
Yeah. I didn't notice that because I'm not a pervert. But that
it's very disrespectful.
By the way, Bernie Getz, who I think once ran for mayor. I think he tried to remember. He does actually have squirrels in his. He has like a squirrel collector. Did you know this?
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Why can't vigilantes
squirrels?
in the city be normal
squirrels?
About their pets? It's just very strange.
I mean, he's probably not the most normal guy in the city, but you'd probably vote for him, wouldn't you?
Bernie Getz, no.
Would you vote for Bernie Getz over Zohran Mamdani?
No, I would. I would vote for neither. That's all.
No, you got to vote for Bernie.
You got to vote for Bernie.
He stuck up for himself. Come on.
So I mean, maybe we should talk about Mr. Mamdani, who perhaps is going to be the next mayor of New York City. In fact, I'm assured he will be. I'm also assured of many things. One, that he is great and wonderful, and this is going to be a revolutionary choice because it's the best thing for the city.
Great retail politician.
I've also heard that this could be the end of days for New York, and if he is elected, it represents some sort of final defilement of New York City, and the decline of it perpetually, forever and ever. Amen. The rise of socialism.
I don't buy that.
Obviously, Matt, you don't think that's the case, or at least you don't don't think it matters whether or not you're casting a ballot that is likely to maybe move the needle in one direction that is perhaps a little more viable than another? Or does it just not matter because there's no chance Sliwa's going to drop out, so Cuomo is definitely going to lose, so it doesn't really matter where you vote?
Sliwa competed for the Republican primary.
Okay.
Unopposed.
Okay.
This is not some small detail. Like the fucking Bill Ackmans of the world is like, oh, we got to do something.
Yeah.
My bro, you could have, I don't know, suggested a different candidate to run in the Republican primary who could have beat Curtis Sliwa, who now everyone's like, oh, like Cliff Asness is like you know, should be disqualified.
But no one expected Cuomo to lose.
Beret alone. Too bad. I mean, we knew in 2024, we knew. It wasn't like oh, maybe, maybe not. We knew that whoever the Democratic nominee was going to be terrible. It was either going to be Cuomo, who's provably terrible as mayor or governor of the city, or governor of the state, whatever. It's too early. Not enough booze. He's bad. He's entitled. He excites absolutely nobody. He's a Nepo baby, and he's campaigning like a wounded muskrat. He's doing nothing.
He's never really campaigned.
He's never really campaigned. So it's either going to be him or who was the betting favorite in 2024 or close to the betting favorite, Brad Lander, the city comptroller, who used to be my former city councilman, who spends all of his day doing ESG requirements on Wall Street companies and suing people because, you know, Walmart and Amazon because they don't have the labor practices that he wants. He's an absolute scourge on Wall Street bros who should know this. And he thought he was going to be able to waltz in. And he's going to be a person of great significance in the Mamdani regime because he ran for mayor and it was, I think, coming in third in the Democratic primary. And then they
appeared on
joined forces,
Colbert or something together with Mamdani.
Yeah. And so now he's talking about running for Congress in Dan Goldman's spot so that he could be someone to help Mamdani in Congress.
Yeah.
A total democratic socialist. So all this stuff was known if you've been paying any attention to local politics, basically since the rise of Bill de Blasio, who won by 50 percentage points and then 40 percentage points, and no one likes him. No one. I'm not even sure that Bill de Blasio's wife likes him. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure that she doesn't.
Divorced, so I think that's probably true.
I'm not convinced that his girlfriend likes him either, for that matter. But
we like her. By the way.
She's fantastic. But so if you get someone who is even this much charismatic and doing a De Blasio plus campaign, which is what Mamdani is basically doing, he's the second coming of De Blasio, except he's even more obsequious towards teachers' unions, for example, or for like woke flavored politics, even in the year of our Lord 2025. You should have been paying attention. And Harry Siegel said the same thing on this podcast right before the Democratic.
Although he was skeptical he could win at that point.
He was skeptical that he could win he thought he was going to win the Democratic primary, but he was skeptical about him winning the general at the time. But he had a lot of sort of respect for Mamdani working it, which he absolutely has. And he had nothing but derision for the Ackmans of the world. And I share it. It's like come in late and notice that, oh my God, there's no good candidate. Let's find a fantasy centrist in a time when nobody likes fantasy centrists.
No, and this is a big problem with modern politics is the cost and barrier to entry is almost zero now. The reason we have so many crackpots in the conservative movement, Republican Party, influencers, et cetera, and I would say Bill Ackman is one of those, is that you can have discovered politics, been fired by it yesterday, and start a podcast where you've figured everything out. I mean, all of these people in the podcast world sound to me like people I used to talk to in the dorm room that have just figured everything out.
Except they have a couple $2 billion now.
And then there's the version that has a couple $2 billion.
I mean, Elon Musk.
Bill Ackman and Elon Musk and all of these people. Cliff, I would say, is somebody who I love and have the utmost respect for. Cliff is a PhD from the University of Chicago in economics. I mean, he knows what he's talking about.
He's brilliant, and he's unlike all those rest of those guys. He's funny as hell.
He's funny as hell, and he's out there punching people on Twitter to the great irritation of everyone in his company. We're like, stop doing this. So you got to give him credit for that. That's how he has fuck you money. But billionaires tend to be able to say what they want. But you're right about Ackman, because Ackman he has a college level understanding of modern politics, but people listen to him and they have, they go to his house, they go to his house in the Hamptons and all that stuff.
They read his 75,000 word tweets.
Correct, because he's rich, right?
Yeah.
And they all want his money. And that's a very, very simple thing. They want his money. He's utterly wrong about all of this in this particular race because they drop in at the end. And also it makes you look really bad when you're rich because it makes it seem as if Mamdani coming in and saying, we're going to put, 4%, 5% greater taxes on your income and then X, Y, and Z. It's all about like, well, I'm going to lose money on this. That's how people like react to a billionaire reacting to Mamdani. Mm-hmm. Where with Ackman, it's probably more Israel than anything else. And I don't say that in a kind of defamatory way. He's Israel firster and he's a dual loyalist. No, I just think that is really shocking for people. And I think it was one of these guys who said something similar is like, did you expect from 9/11 to today that not only that New York would have a Muslim mayor, but one who was like palling around with somebody who was tangentially involved in the first World Trade Center bombing?
Yeah.
Bill Maher mentioned that the other day.
Co-conspirator.
Yeah, which is a kind of a bullshit phrase. But
do we have the
Andy McCarthy actually talked about that. We have the clip.
Do we have the clip of him talking about the IDF and the NYPD?
This is and I think this is really telling.
Is 2 years ago.
2 years ago, 2023, and I think it's from a DSA conference, and I think it says a lot. But this is Mamdani from 2003.
The importance for me of international solidarity is that it takes me out of the American political landscape and reminds me just how tame some of the things are that I'm actually calling for or that I support. And it reminds me of the necessity of grounding ourselves in the struggles as opposed to the fights around the struggles. For anyone to care about these issues, we have to make them hyperlocal. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. We're in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities to make clear the ways in which that struggle over there is tied to capital's interest over here.
All right. The number of problems with this, I mean, where does one begin?
It's baffling.
But that is an amazing thing when you see him with Martha McCallum on Fox News. He did a fantastic job in the interview, by the way. And he's like, I'm running for mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Why do you ask me about Israel the day after I did my 5K run for Gaza and talk, which he did, and he talks endlessly about this issue? It's because when you see a clip like that, and the thing that everyone's paying attention to is the boot heel of the NYPD is on your neck and it was laced by the IDF. We can get to the problems with that, but it's the fact that right after that, he says New York City, it's this global struggle that we're involved in.
Yeah.
It means everything to us here in New York. And that's exactly who he is as a politician. He's somebody that is motivated. He says, free buses, et cetera. But he can't avoid these issues because he keeps on talking about them. Because as you see in that clip, he says it's integral to being a New Yorker of the global struggle, and particularly what he's talking about is Israel. Now, what he's saying there is that after 9/11, and it was directly after, I think 2002 or 2003, that the NYPD formed a partnership with not just Israel, but with Jordan. They have an office in Jordan. They have a job in Amman. They do training with the intelligence services and not police. The police training is what they're focusing on with the IDF because they have intelligence gathering, sharing capabilities and training capabilities.
The NYPD is a gigantic intelligence operation,
huge,
especially in Lower Manhattan.
Yeah, in Lower Manhattan. People don't realize this. It's not the Cleveland police force. No disrespect for the Cleveland police force, but they have a bigger remit here.
Yes.
Terrorism is one of them, and they operate with them.
Yeah.
But this reminds me of the kind of far left argument in the 80s, and some people will remember this, is that everything that happened in Latin America, even if the Reagan administration was not directly involved in funding like the Contras, for instance, it was something in Georgia called the School of the Americas.
Yeah, of course.
And it was all these guys were trained by the Americans at the School of the Americas. So everything they do is therefore has our fingerprints on it. And Mamdani has made this argument a couple of times, and it's always bringing it back to Israel. So when you are suffocating under the knee on your neck because you were selling loosies or one of these bad things that happen in New York City, it's actually Israel that is behind that. That is like an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory in my mind, is that if everything bad that can happen to you in this city is traceable back to Israel, that is a bananas. Let me take the anti-Semitism out. because people get distracted by that and it becomes a stupid argument. It's a conspiracy theory for sure. And it's my pet issue is essentially at the center of all New York City politics. And that person's going to become the mayor. And that is troubling to me.
And you could have said, let's say he decided it was the same sentence. He could have said it was laced up by the Mexican police forces, because they also have these sharing agreements, because there's reason to have a relationship between the NYPD and any number of foreign countries, given how many people who derive from foreign countries are here. They have these open partnerships with these people. You would never say it. The only way that you would say that it was Mexico doing this is if you were anti-immigration and the NYPD just did something in the name of fighting or not fighting immigration that you disagreed with. Then you would monomaniacally say, oh, it's all because of this thing with Mexico. The IDF doesn't have special extra sauce or whatever lacing up the boots. It's just the one that you picked out of a hat. And it's always that one that you picked out of the hat. It's never the other ones who are doing the exact same fucking thing, including in Jordan.
Now, maybe we should give a little credit where it's due, though. I mean, this whole, the boot on your neck, it was laced by the IDF. I mean, that visually, like I could see that. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I think that's why people say he's a
artful.
good politician.
No, he's poetic.
Not just a good politician. I mean, the things that I've heard said by Jon Stewart, by the Pod Save America bros this past couple of days are just extraordinary. It's transformational candidate. The most important man in American politics is the sense that I get from
You mentioned the Pod Save. Can we watch the
pod?
Pods? Because I haven't actually seen this.
Yeah.
You said the Pod Save America guys. Which one is this? Love It or not Love It? It's the other
it's
one.
all three of them are in this. So what precedes it is actually a clip of AOC at a rally with Zohran.
Shrieking about stuff.
It is a time such as today when demanding
Birds falling out of
affordable
the sky.
housing is considered a radical
I love it
and
they put the
outlandish
Sikhs behind her.
act. That we can afford our lives, our groceries,
What did you
our
talking about?
transit is considered an outlandish and radical act. We are not the outlandish ones, New York City. They want us to think we are crazy. We are sane.
And what the oligarchs fear, what they fear is the people will start understanding that this country belongs to us, not them.
Together, New York, we're going to freeze the. Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and. Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal. We will make our city one where every person who calls it home can live a dignified life.
Sounds so radical and dangerous and hateful, huh?
God, he's really good. He is just like effortlessly charming. The speech started and he goes, a candidate is only as good as the team around him. Right now, I'd like to ask that team, can you please turn on the teleprompter? Because this is all going off the dome. It was so funny. And it was like brutal on Cuomo. Absolutely brutal. Like, let our cheers ring out so that he can hear us in his $8,000 a month apartment in Westchester if he's there for the night, and his puppet master in the White House can hear us. Like,
I know
just
they are
hammering.
running through the tape.
Yes, and hammering Bill Ackman and the billionaire class. It was fantastic. It was a great speech. Good for him.
He's an extraordinary politician. He just is. One thing that he's doing that I think is like makes him a really amazing politician is the ways in which he is a politician while remaining like authentic and charismatic, enthusiastic, and like smart about how he's running this campaign. If you watch his interviews, he's so disciplined, yet because you know where he's coming from, you know it's coming from a place of authenticity. He is this kind of defiant figure, like represents the left in this bold way, exciting in a way, but all at the same time being kind of like thoughtful about politics on a number of issues, kind of meeting with like leaders in business who may not like him, but like he's sort of charming them, right? Like there's something about the way he's doing this that like belies, but beneath the enthusiasm is just an incredibly sophisticated political operation.
It just doesn't strike me as terribly sophisticated to promise to do a bunch of stuff for free, to get the numbers wrong reliably, and to never ever provide anything like credible details about how you will achieve these goals. Whenever I've used the phrase like talented politician, I've always meant it as a pejorative. Like, you do have these skills. You are you are an incredible liar. You are so extraordinary at it. They seem to have like these kind of authentic chill bumps. I mean, these are guys who worked for the Obama campaign, that Obama White House.
Why?
That was that.
Yeah.
That was a similar thing. But at the time, it was still in opposition to the Bernie Bros, to that particular movement. Which was it radical and hateful? No, we don't have to go that far. You could perhaps go that far in this particular context, but you don't have to in order to establish that the stuff that they're advocating for isn't credible. this is unlikely to work. They're not going to lower rent in New York by freezing it in a way that's actually sustainable. They're not going to deliver free childcare without extraordinary expense.
I love the switch in the AOC make public transportation affordable, and then he's like, we're going to make it free. It's like, I guess that's affordable. It's a type of affordable.
I mean,
right?
It's affordable for the 48% of people who never pay their fares already.
Is it 48? It must
48.
be higher.
Well, I mean, that's the official stats.
One, so not make them look silly. I mean, where I am, even on the subway, the buses, nobody pays. So much so that if you're in New York City, you'll see the buses, the light up thing on the front, which says that usually the destination. It says you have to pay your fare. And it literally says, like, guys, can you seriously pay for this? Could you imagine having a store and like trying to negotiate with people on the way out of Target and like, guys, can you pay for it? And they're like, no. And like, all right. And then someone comes along and says, I have a solution for you, Target. Just make it free. Yeah. I mean, this kind of politics, and you're right, Kmele, it's like this is the opposite of the kind of Obama way of doing politics. I mean, it is the charisma that they say. I don't see the charisma. When you're at a rally and you're getting a feedback loop from the audience who's cheering and screaming and in friendly territory, it's like being a comedian when you go in and they say to you, everyone in the audience is going to laugh. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you do. Just make them laugh. And it's like, but they're all going to laugh. Yes, they're all.
Hometown crowd.
We have nitrous oxide on the table and they're just huffing it. And that is like, is he no, he's speaking in a loud voice. And if you see him on Martha McCallum, push back a little bit, he crumbles. He's not prepared for the question that he knew that Fox was going to ask. It's not brave to go on Fox. It is, I guess, now because everyone stays in their bubbles. But he goes on there and he kind of chokes, right? And he does this thing in the debate where he has that glued on smile that looks so inauthentic. And he's so authentic. It's like, I guess we're looking at different people. And I'm not saying this because I dislike his policies. I think his policies are going to be terrible and destructive. But I'm just looking at it objectively as a politician. I do not see what they're seeing. The easiest thing in politics is to tell people what you're going to give them for free and not do the accounting. We were talking about Bill Maher the other day. Bill was actually one of the only people that successfully pushed back on Bernie Sanders when he had him on the show. He's like, but how are you going to pay for it? And the fact that he's been saying this for 75 years, he was like in like 8th grade and they're like, do you want mashed potatoes? Like the billionaires. It's like, guys, like he's been doing this forever. And he didn't have a good answer for that because there is no good answer. But when you are in a political universe now of Democrats who have nothing affirmative to say, because you cannot do this on a national stage. You can do this on a local stage. He is going to get Muslim voters, South Asian voters out in Queens in big numbers that haven't come out before. It's going to be impressive. He's going to get the Park Slope people, all the upper middle class whites who are, went to Bennington are going to come out for him. That's not hard to do if you're Zohran Mamdani. But the idea amongst Democrats that, and you see this from everyone, it's so unbelievably stupid. These people are fucking catatonic when it comes to like national politics. This is the way. See the rallies? It's like this is not applicable to anywhere else in America save big cities, Seattle, Los Angeles. Cities tend to be deep blue. We have red states and blue states. All the cities tend to be blue. And that works there. But, it's like Donald Trump is very Trumpian in the sense when you say, tariffs will bring back manufacturing. And we're sitting here going, no, it's not. That's not going to happen. It won't happen. And will it stick to the Republican Party that they said they were the working class heroes and nothing happened? Yeah, you'll get your second term out of it. You can even get your first term out of it. But people do want to see that it works in the long run, right? I mean, AOC, it'd be great to have her on to ask her about Amazon cutting 14,000 jobs. She must be excited about this.
Right. Didn't want them here.
Didn't want them here. They're dirty, horrible jobs. Get rid of them. And they're cutting for, and I guarantee if you asked her about that now, she'd be like, these big corporations, all they care about is the bottom line. It's like, well, yeah, if they're losing money, yes. Or if they're not making the money their shareholders want them to, yes. But I don't think this is daring politics at all. I don't think it's smart politics. Is it smart for New York to say you're going to give people things? It's the easiest fucking politics in the world. It's hard to answer the question of globalize the intifada, but, well, we'll just make it free. And we'll make childcare free, and we'll make this free. It's like, okay, no one is stopping to ask in the rally because they're cheering. How are we going to pay for this?
The rich will pay their fair share. The white tax, which is what he originally
what is the fair
to do.
share? The tax burden in the state is, I think, the heaviest in the country, the second heaviest.
I think it's the highest.
It might be the
Is it the
highest
highest?
tax burden.
I mean,
California?
partly,
Yeah, probably, actually.
partly because New York City has an income tax.
We have an
so that's
income
the
tax
three
in
of
New York
us
City. Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I think
Not currently, but yeah.
the pod bro response is instructive because it shows something that led me to make an inaccurate prediction 5 years ago or so, but which is coming around to be true, which is that Democrats are desperate to feel like they're in love with a politician.
Yeah.
They want to feel the thrill
Very good point,
of being, having this sort of affectionate thing. They want to be excited about politics. Obama was an exciting figure about politics. He was someone who made you feel good about yourself for liking him. He was.
And they all had to lie about Kamala.
He was good looking. Now I have to lie about Kamala. I have to lie about Joe Biden. I have to lie about Karine Jean-Pierre, who's had a hell of a week. Oh my!
I have to say she's really good. Yeah.
She had a hell of a
so quick on her
We have
feet.
to pretend that all of these people are not terrible, and that the thought of having anyone but them is the worst thing ever. No, they want to feel excited. Where I was wrong was that I thought that meant that there would be a market for Beto O'Rourke more than there was because he was young, he was thrilling.
It's a perennial loser.
He's a
perennial loser.
He's white Stacey Abrams.
He is a little bit less election denialist than she is, and
his sexy novels aren't as sexy.
They don't sell as well.
Beto's choice, man. Beto's choice. But like Democrats love that feeling. So what you're seeing right there is them expressing their love for that feeling. It's not that he's incredibly authentic. He's incredibly telegenic. He has good turn of phrases, tilts his head, smiles, and he beat the shit out of Cuomo in a primary, which is kind of exciting. So people feel like, oh, unlike most places that are dominated by Democrats, like who are the politicians that arise from places that are dominated by the Democratic establishment? It's usually Bill de Blasio. It's usually Karen Bass. It's usually Brandon Johnson or someone worse. It is the worst kind of apparatchiks who rose up in a very closed system, never ran in a competitive campaign in their fucking lives. Karen Bass was like a 5-term congresswoman, I think, in South LA, never had less than 80% of the vote in any election ever.
This is the era of the destruction of the old politics on both sides.
Yes, it is.
We saw the beginning of that with Bernie Sanders' first campaign. That Democrats anointed
Obama was the beginning of it too,
Hillary Clinton, which, by the way, is their right. It's not. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can have any nominating process they want. It's like whatever. They did that. But that had some long-term consequences. People were upset about it. And Bernie in 2000, a slightly different situation. But when you have Democrats of the Karen Bass variety de Blasio I think is an outlier because he was like, the socialist-y guy. And he calmed down when he was mayor. He wasn't doing the things. I think Mamdani is going to be much more.
But he had zero charisma.
He had zero charisma. No one was. He's not a politician that way. But Trump broke Republican politics. So you have a Josh Hawley or a Marjorie Taylor Greene, and everyone falls in line. And I think the next, Bannon's fucking around saying, "Oh, we're going to get a third term." It's not going to happen. I mean, Mike Johnson just said that's not going to happen. It's unconstitutional. Trump has said it's not going to happen. He said the running in the Medvedev way as the vice president is like not going to happen.
It's too cute.
It's too cute, which was a funny answer. It's too cute. But he's also going to be in his 80s, and we don't want that. But it doesn't mean that the next iteration of the Republican Party is going to be any different. There was a thought the first time around that Donald Trump didn't have a great first term. Not a really great, he's having a much better second term, I have to say. And I'm going to say from my own politics, I'm just saying he's having a better, more effective second term.
He's doing more.
He's doing more. He knows what he's doing. I don't like a lot of what he's doing.
He's doing more badly, but he's doing
and
more.
He's doing more with the executive pen than he should be doing too. But all of this stuff is like the harbinger of what's to come. We thought that maybe it'd be a snapback in 2020 to a more normal Republican politics. That is dead, and the Democratic version of it is dead too.
Bidenism is dead too. And I think that's part of some of the backlash against Karine Jean-Pierre, which was almost excessive. Can't quite be excessive enough because she stood up and lied on a daily basis.
And said yes to Isaac Chotiner?
And said yes to Isaac Chotiner.
Why do you say yes?
Has a book that no one wants to read, claiming to be an independent.
The title and subtitle are a little bit weird. Like independent, okay. A look inside a broken White House outside the party lines.
That's not.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I'm not sure how it's connected to independent. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
She's clearly in this book tour not independent at all. She's just stumping for the corpse of a boss that she once had.
Yes.
Right? I mean, she's saying like, oh,
he was a good man.
He was a good man.
And that she never ever saw him in decline.
Yeah.
Just on TV with the rest of us.
He was getting old.
Yeah.
She is really taking fire from all sides, though, here. Like, certainly conservatives have loved to hate her for a very long time, but she's getting it with respect to like the administration's Israel policy. She's getting it with respect to being dishonest about, or I think it's fair to say being dishonest about the state of her boss.
And also just being really stupid. Like, she's not smart.
She
is like being challenged by the softest of possible challenges.
Yeah.
And she crumbles in every single.
It's Mamdani on Fox. How are you not prepared for this?
How are you not
this
prepared?
Is all
this
you're
much,
going to be asked.
much worse than Madonna. On Fox.
Madonna works a lot faster on
She
this.
was a lot faster,
wrong.
but I like just on that one question, I couldn't believe that he was not prepared for that and didn't have a pat answer ready. Is that she doesn't seem to have any answers ready for any of this stuff. She's like, it's in the book. You know, we're going to litigate Biden again. Yes, you wrote a book about it.
Exactly.
Like that,
you would not have gotten a contract.
You have not gotten a contract. And it's
someone asks, what do you mean by that? And then you just get this stream of incoherence.
Oh my God.
It's not even a hostile interrogation.
No, but it's also
which same as Kamala Harris when she was running for president on the handful of times that she exposed herself to people asking questions.
Yeah. And I said this on Megan's show when we watched clips of the Bernie AOC town hall. And there was such a marked difference just in those clips where Bernie was sticking to the working class message. He does it well. He doesn't ever deviate from it. And she gets into the swamp of like LGBTQI plus politics and homophobia and Islamophobia. And that is not a national thing. I mean, we have to understand, it's like when you say that people even on the left are taking shots at Karine Jean-Pierre, before we started, we were talking about, what's his name from New York The Atlantic now, John Chait, who was like, how the fuck did she get this job? And I'm in the back like, do you want me to answer that? Because I can answer that. And nobody's afraid of answering those questions now. Is like Kamala Harris, and that was a good thing about the Chotiner interview. He's like, she has two totally different visions of Harris in the same book. It's because she's a black woman. That's why she was, and by the way, this was like not the candidate for us.
Yeah,
and it's
because
like, well,
she was going to lose.
Because she was going to lose. And it's like, but the American people couldn't think that? Well, no, because they're irredeemably racist and sexist and, you know, whatever.
And if you walked in my shoes, you would know that.
Yeah.
Sir.
If I walked in her shoes, I would get jobs I don't deserve all the time. I mean, I had to create a job that I don't deserve, which is this podcast, right?
That is it's more true than we want to know.
But that kind of, it is like the end of a particular type of race politics that Sanders doesn't like, by the way.
No.
You can tell he doesn't like it.
Well,
Obama doesn't like it, by the way.
But here's the thing.
Well, he's in purest moments.
He goes back and forth.
He goes back and forth. I mean, he's still a party man. He's the kingmaker in that party.
And he's been a practitioner of it in different ways for a very long time. Like the whole Jeremiah Wright relationship was very much him trying to get establish his bona fides in that respect and way. He could have done something else. He could have been an authentically transformational candidate on that particular issue on the race stuff, and instead was not. He was just
I wrote about it at the time, I think, for the Weekly Standard, but the Skip Gates Beer Summit with the cop from Cambridge.
Yes.
I mean, to me, I have to go back because I wrote critically of it, but so I don't remember exactly the response from him. But it is.
I mean, it was the news broke that this happened. Obama leapt out in front of it right away and immediately condemned the officer and came down on him really, really hard. In fact, I think the quote was, the officer acted stupidly. And would later be revealed.
Had he could imagine either himself or if he had had a boy.
That was Trayvon.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry.
So similar sort of
step on
where
snake.
he's essentially taking a side, doesn't have all the facts, and then the facts would later come out that this officer is asking Skip Gates to show his ID because some neighbor saw him climbing through a window. And Skip Gates got a bit belligerent with him. At some point says to him, like, your mama, which is, I suppose, interesting because the Trump administration is doing that now too.
But the thing about that is that he didn't embrace at that point, and again, maybe I'm wrong. I have to go back and read the piece that I wrote about this. He had, I mean, if the guy was Derek Chauvin or one of these, I mean, obviously it's a different case, But any of these people accused of grievous, racial crimes, he invited them to the White House.
Yeah.
And like that was a moment.
He had to make up for getting it so wrong before.
And he thought, there was a moment after that where nobody had to make up for being wrong for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So I like the fact, in a way, it's heartening that so many people on the Karine Jean-Pierre thing, even with Kamala Harris, are acknowledging that this maybe had to do with what you always say is the shape and the color of somebody's genitals.
Shape and shade, yeah.
Shape and shade of the genitals.
Yes, I can turn a phrase pretty good too.
Yeah, you got to get that trademarked before Buttman takes it for one of his next
fine.
series.
You can have it.
We love you, John. He's a listener, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. But no, I think that like the race politics, I think that when you see Bernie and her next to each other, you see the old man and the young person, and the old man understands the current political mood better than the young person does.
But
yeah,
who would it be if Bernie and AOC had a baby?
Who would it be?
Who would it be?
I can only think about them making a baby when you put it that way.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want
Your
to.
mind is so
AOC?
disgusting.
My birthday is around the corner.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Let's go behind this dumpster.
Oh my God.
You talking about that? Like how they make it?
Oh no.
Oh, who the baby would be like as a person?
It's Mom Donnie.
Yeah,
it is absolutely Mom Donnie. Do we have the Jon Stewart clip thing? The part of the excitement, I think, a little bit, a minor part of the excitement, is that Mom Donnie, who's woke as hell. He is absolutely woke as hell. I mean, he was out there talking about his aunt, who he's just he teared up at a press conference, saying how horrible it was after 9/11.
But in Ugandan culture, you don't understand. That means just somebody that you know.
I'm actually
be related.
I'm willing to grant
I'm
all
willing
of
to
that,
grant that,
all of
actually.
it, even though whatever how much I believe in it. But like for him, the thing that really matters is that after 9/11, like she felt scared about wearing a hijab or some kind of head covering on the subway, and he teared up about that. He loves this stuff. His feelings about the education department, wants to get rid of gifted and talented after he successfully has already graduated from not only graduated from a specialized high school, but was a tutor for kids to take the test to get into the specialized high school.
Bronx Science or Stuyvesant or something?
I think it was Bronx Science, but I could be wrong about that because I'm frequently wrong. But he's woke as hell, actually. And he is a character who fuses that Bernie Sanders oligarchy stuff and the free buses, and we're going to actually have like a free supermarket in each, or a government supermarket in each bureau, just like going straight socialism crap. He is a DSA guy, but he keeps all the woke stuff too. So it allows that to keep going in 2025, or at least he doesn't have to repudiate it. So yes, it is. We're starting to see people coming out of the closet and saying, oh, we shouldn't necessarily just support people because they check off these boxes. And yet there's a lot of enthusiasm for the way that Mom Donnie checks off his boxes. Watch this.
Honestly, I think any New Yorker who looks at someone getting an opportunity, who's representing communities that have not been as representative, a Muslim, a young person, a progressive, a democratic socialist, there are so many different communities that are looking to you, and this, I hate to put it on you, as a bit of a Jackie Robinson moment. And I know that probably wields some weight, but man, oh man, what an exciting opportunity. And I wish you the best.
Thank you. Holy shit. That's
you got mad at us for Megyn Kelly?
That is one of the top 10.
Jackie Robinson.
Jackie Robinson. Can we think of any differences, Kmele?
I would Pumpsy Green is what I was thinking. But
I wonder, obviously we've talked about this before. New York, California have this outsized role in our politics. New York City and LA in particular, uniquely outsized role in our politics. And as a result, every Democrat and everyone who is interested in the success of the Democratic Party has been encouraged to get on board this particular train, to endorse this candidate, to talk about his candidacy publicly, to make the Democratic big tent include him in the most vociferous way possible. It just seems like such a bad idea. The reason you have reservations is because you ought to know that these are bad ideas. And this is likely to end pretty poorly for you. The best case scenario isn't that he gets every policy he wants and that it all works out really well. It's that it's not particularly consequential. The more likely one is that it's actually bad. There are actively bad things, and they just hang this on you. This becomes the national representation of Democratic politics.
But I want you to talk about this because encoded, not even encoded, it's right there on the surface of what Jon Stewart says is against literally everything that you believe, in the sense that this bullshit, like, these communities have not been represented. Of course they have. They have representation in Congress. They have it in the city council. It's like, no, but they don't look exactly like you. He's talking about like Muslims, and he's talking about people like South Asians.
They're also not monolithic. There are plenty of those people who dislike him.
And by the way, since when you are Trump getting in trouble for talking about the Mexican judge?
Yeah.
Because the Mexican judge has a loyalty to Mexican people, and Trump was brutalized, rightfully so, by people on the left about this, and that's what Jon Stewart's doing. The
only the
exact same
left
thing.
can get away with doing this kind of identity politics, this naked identity politics. If the right does it with respect to whites, for example, and their unique particular interests, wherever they are, however economically disadvantaged they may actually be individually, it is unacceptable. And I think it is right that people cringe when they hear it in that way.
Sure.
I wish they would do that in a uniform, consistent way, but Jon Stewart doesn't seem to have that ability.
I have nothing in common with the whites.
Not to belabor the obvious, there's something a little bit different between being the first person to break through a racist rule that's been held in force for
an objectively racist
more
rule.
than half a century, and then subject yourself to daily torrents of abuse after having served your country with honor and faced a court-martial for refusing to sit in the back of the bus, and
authentic heroism.
Authentic heroes, and kicking everybody's ass at your third best sport, arguably fourth best sport.
And that's, by the way, fans, players in opposite teams. I mean, it's the media. I mean, Robinson got it in ways that you can't possibly imagine now, which is, if you read about Jackie Robinson, you read his memoir, which is pretty interesting, and you realize how great things are compared to the way they were. And people like Jon Stewart, I can't say people like Jon Stewart, I don't know what he thinks about this, but so many people don't believe there's been any progress. And it's like, guys, read what Jackie Robinson went through, not only because it's fascinating and Jackie Robinson was an incredible ball player, but because it's interesting to get a look at how bad things actually were. Not what Zohran Mamdani says about his auntie, which is offensive to me in a million ways, because he's not saying something happened to her. He was saying she had a certain paranoia. Okay, I understand that. But what was the other end of that? Who was attacked for being a Muslim in this city? Was there one or two? Probably. It's a city of 9 million people. We reacted in a way that is so admirable that people who have just made it just an article of faith that everything that this country does vis-a-vis race, religion, skin tones is ipso facto bad, and we've never gotten better, is to ignore the fact that in any other country, I can think of so many countries where if this had happened, the response would have been a bloodletting. It would have been Bosnia, right? Our response, there's a guy famously killed in Arizona at like a gas station. A Sikh. There was a guy killed in Texas.
Attacked at least in New Jersey, I think.
In New Jersey, but there's so few of them that I remember them. I mean, you don't remember the 1 million people killed in Rwanda, right? Where people who look the same, but that tribe is the bad ones now, and we have to go kill them with, hand tools. That we did well. Was it perfect? It's never going to be perfect, ever. But we did a pretty damn good job after that.
And George W. Bush was central to that.
He was central to that. And it's like, piss on him all you want. He went to a mosque right after. He spoke and said, Islam is not the enemy, et cetera. But that response...
Fucking held hands with the Saudis.
Yeah, he held hands with the Saudis. Get them out of the country fast. Michael Moore's going to make a movie about it.
Don't like that.
But it's not all roses. But the fact that you remember 9/11 through the prism of a great aunt or something who wasn't humiliated, but felt that she could be humiliated.
She might be.
That is a positive thing about this city, because if she were humiliated, if she was physically attacked, he'd be citing that. But that didn't happen.
I've mentioned it maybe once or twice.
Ta-Nehisi Coates on the subway, by the way, somebody bumped into his kid, remember?
Right.
And he's like, I understand 9/11 or whatever he said. But no, it's not accurate. But that was like, and he saw, he did say, I saw 9/11, and I was like, I like understand, or I can't remember what it was. I don't want to bastardize it.
It's really bad.
It's really bad on its own,
yeah.
And someone can pop it in the comments or something. But that instinct, like that this little small thing happened to you on the subway with your kid. And to him, that was Jim Crow. This woman thought, I feel uncomfortable with my hijab after Muslim terrorists did this in downtown New York. It's like, I understand that feeling. It's not surprising to me that somebody had that feeling. But those are people in search of evidence that, fits into the narrative that they have about America, which is given to him clearly by his father, whose book I'm reading right now. And it is really something else.
Oh, dear God.
I am actually reading it right now.
There is something to be said, though, that, some of this is taking place, and we're having this conversation in a week where Tucker Carlson has an interview with Nick Fuentes, a man who is like avowedly racist. And it depends on where he is, whether or not he acknowledges the fact that he is an actual racist.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no doubt about this.
No, he's very honest.
And this is very different than Richard Spencer circa 2015, 2016, who was having stories written about him. And there was all sorts of suggestions that he had some kind of affiliation with the Trump campaign. It was clear that he liked Donald Trump. He explicitly endorsed him and openly was supporting him, and then held that event with several hundred kids in a room saying, hail our Trump, hail our president. That was bad. But that was different. It's certainly different than the kind of sway that Fuentes seems to have at this point. And it is hard, and I'm reluctant to overstate it. I'm, in some cases, even reluctant to talk about it too much. But it does seem important that that is happening now, and that among the many attacks that are being directed at Mamdani, and I don't care if people assail me for mispronouncing his name.
Just think about
my name is spelled Kmele. No one pronounces it right.
It's fine. Donny Hathaway. I think of Donny Osmond, but you can think of Donny
Hathaway. Yeah. That's good. That's really good. That's helpful. Yeah, I'm going to forget the mnemonic in a moment. But at any rate, that's a lot of the attacks that are being directed at him are kind of deplorable. Like the assertion, like some of it does appear. Like there is AI generated images where they darken his skin and make his beard thicker so he looks more Middle Eastern.
Is that the person that used to work at Newsweek during the OJ trial?
There's a congressman who tweeted out something about him, like the only reason he came to this country is so that he could try and impose Sharia law. These are narratives. They're not mainstream narratives, but they are narratives that have seemed to gain some traction. I think it's one, not only unfortunate because it's bigoted, it's unfortunate because there's a better argument. Like he does have some actual nefarious perspectives that he has expressed in the past.
I think they're wrong though about one thing. They're wrong. I mean, there's a reason for some of it, but not any reason for the most extreme version of it. But they believe that he's trying to appease some sort of secret Muslim Brotherhood cell. He's not. He's trying to appease the DSA. And the DSA, those are his constituents, and he's asked directly, should Hamas disarm? And he cannot say yes. That is terrifying. And you're inviting those attacks at that point.
And as we mentioned before,
a terrorist organization that has encoded in its very charter document the destruction of Israel, and who committed one of the most hideous atrocities, which now has to be forgotten about by people like this because Israel responded. In the way Israel responded, the way the war was waged, that's the only thing they want to talk about. You can never say this was a crime, and this was a crime against humanity. And the organization, you have to go that one step further because it's an obvious thing. The organization that conducted it is a terrorist organization full of fanatics and people who don't represent my religion. And of course they should disarm. We don't want this to go this cycle. Like, he doesn't say that. And then those photos pop up of him with like very, very bad figures, imams, whatever. I don't think I was an imam. Everyone appoints himself like people appoint themselves rabbis, as we've seen. But that kind of stuff, you can avoid it by being really stalwart in your opposition to terror. And you can oppose Israel. You can oppose the Netanyahu government like a majority of people in Israel do. But you cannot not answer the question of should these people disarm when you say, well, that's not for me to say. And then, oh, by the way, here's an old clip of me saying everything that happens in New York is kind of based out of Tel Aviv.
Yeah, it's central to his political identity is this sort of
has been.
this anti-colonial project, and you could put colonial in scare quotes if you wish, kind of affiliation with the global South, and we're all part of this interconnected struggle.
Yeah.
That's central to his politics. Not just DSA, it's just like it's campus leftoid politics done by people who've never worked for a living, and that's him. He hasn't worked. I mean, the thing that is, I think, kind of infuriating for me, and certainly the Asnesses and Ackmans and other people of the world. I suspect you and maybe you as well. It's just like I've seen this guy. I know this guy. I can tell you the next thing that's coming out of his mouth. Maybe he's going to have some nice poetics with it, but I know everything about this guy. I don't like this guy. And I think a lot of people are interpreting this as, well, you just don't like Muslims or you just don't like this. Like, no. Usually this guy is a white girl, but in this case, it is this guy. But I don't like that guy because I know this predictable set of politics, economic ideas that are just horribly thought out and are now probably going to be copied throughout some of big city America, not because it's going to work, but because he successfully ran an election on it. Because that's where we are in this period of like populism on both sides. It doesn't matter if you actually deliver on the Midwestern jobs that you promised, the manufacturing jobs. It's that you won an election doing it. So you've shown a demonstration project that your side can make politics, authentic politics about this stuff. And that's what gets people excited, because we're in this era of like symbolic politics as opposed to the actual stuff of governance. The actual stuff of governance, there was a great interview just published, I think today, podcast interview with Nicole Gillinas from Manhattan Institute and some senior person at the MTA, just sort of talking through what does free buses mean structurally. And those are the kind of conversations you almost never see anymore talked about broadly or in media. You see it a little more in New York with as many seagulls as we have lying around. But like the messy stuff.
The bird or the Jews?
The reportors.
All right.
I don't.
Yeah. No, we're talking about Mamdani, so we got to talk. But these are the
true.
terms we're talking in.
But people are just
joke people.
They're into the symbolism. They're into the Jackie Robinson. They're into the thrill up their own leg that David Brooks once felt about Obama. Like they want that sensation. They actually.
I always thought he was having a stroke.
It might explain a lot.
Yeah. From 2008 to today, what explain a ton. I think it's right. But on the New York, like living in New York. There are two things about this. When people say like, well, you're asking him to talk about these sort of global issues, and you can respond as I just did and say, well, he's made them a centerpiece of his life, and he talks about them all the time. But I think they're important because it tells you, as you just said, we all know this guy, and we know this person, and I know exactly who it is. And so when I see a photo online of him with the Cuban delegation, from the Cuban government, getting some like award or holding some, I'm just like, you would never stand next to anybody from the Israeli government ever and take a photo. You wouldn't do it. But you're perfectly
or from Malay's Argentinian government right now.
Correct. Yeah. Even if there's no war to be. Yeah. But you'll stand next to a representative of an incredibly oppressive regime that has managed to subjugate its people for 60 years. That's not okay to me. That's not okay. I wouldn't be happy if somebody on the right, was standing next to somebody from the Pinochet government. That would be bad too. And I would talk about that and say, this is disqualifying. That thing, is it disqualifying? I don't think it's disqualifying that necessarily because it's some functionary. Maybe he's just being nice, but I know he wouldn't do it for the other people. But it does tell you who he is. It tells you about his worldview. But in practical terms, the Eric Adams administration is trying to like crack down on fare beaters, and the MTA is going to do the same. He's made a few outreaches and said, the chief of police will remain. I'm not going to replace that person with some skateboarder from the DSA or something, which is reassuring. And he's gone out and tried to reassure businessmen. But the way he deals with, there is a crisis on the subways. This is de Blasio into Adams. There is a response to it, right? And some of them are stupid responses. National Guard standing in the subway platforms didn't do anything. More cops on the beat was good. I see a lot more cops on the subway, and they do interact with people who are like rolling around on the floor of the subway, which I saw yesterday, being crazy. And what is the practical application of these politics for the daily lives of New Yorkers? Free grocery stores, get the fuck out of here. Or state-run, it's not going to happen. If it does happen, it's going to be a disaster. It's never happened with success, and why would it now? Because he's a really smart kid who reads, Franz Fanon and Edward Said. No, it's not going to happen. But day-to-day stuff for New Yorkers, these are bad policies. I mean, I saw our friend Andrew Schultz, and I can't wait to talk to him about this, who had Mamdani on, and it was a bro fest. And that was the best I've ever seen Mamdani, by the way. He was very comfortable. He was like playful. He was fun. I was like, he was likable. And these other things, I don't think he's likable, but he was likable in that because he knew what he was getting into. But I think he was wrong because I don't think Andrew's like, well, he interviewed Trump and it was a softball thing. So all these bro podcasters like Trump guys, they're not, right? It's pretty clear they're not. They do have that populist streak. But when Andrew said, I'm the guy that you're talking about, and what's another 3 or 4%? To you, I don't know. Maybe not a lot. But what is the economic ricochet of 3 or 4% on everything? Mm-hmm. There are, like, economists are not like, they don't see this as an average person like, oh, that's not much. It's like, no, we see the response to people when there's too much government intervention, the way that they dealt with crypto here, which was absolutely stupid. And then everyone went to Miami and the mayor of Miami was like, I'm the crypto mayor. Yeah. And they're like pulling people away from New York. That can happen again. Is it going to destroy the city? No, it's the most fucking resilient city in the world and people want to live here. And everything is here. So you pay more for it. We do that already. But is there a breaking point for people after, when they have a kid, for instance? Do they leave? Yeah, of course.
They have. They have.
Huge
numbers of people left with their kids because of COVID policies.
Yeah, COVID policies, tax policies, schools. I have to stay here because of work, and I have to pay for school because the lottery meant that my daughter was going to a madrasa in like outside of Abu Dhabi or something, and it's like the low lottery number, and it's like, okay, I have to pay for it if I want her to get a good education. I already pay enormous amounts of taxes for her to go to school, but there's no good schools here except for the ones that you have to take a test to get into that he wants to get rid of.
Yeah. I mean, you feel it. You feel governance here, schools, safety, subway. That's it. How is he going to improve any of those? Do you have any faith that he's going to improve schools, safety, and subway? I don't. Whatever he has said about those things, I think are going to make them make them work less good. And everyone's getting excited about a billionaire tax. Fine. All right, cool, great. Show me one place in America where they tried a millionaire tax and that it worked out and that the millionaires didn't find a way to spend half their time in Puerto Rico.
We've mentioned the reform plan that he has floated, wherein he plans to get rid of these kind of gifted programs. But thus far, it's just kindergarten. I don't know that they've formally endorsed the plan to go beyond that, but there's every reason to suspect that they have an aspiration to do more than just get rid of.
He
Blasio wanted to get rid of like the actual magnet schools, which is perhaps the best thing about New York City public schools. But
the magnet schools are dependent on testing kids young, which is pretty young here, and it does seem kind of weird, but that's what he wants to get rid of. Yeah, and he has previously endorsed getting rid of the specialized high schools. That's more of a hot button issue. And he previously signed on to the equity working group that came in and gave the great idea to have within a period of either 5 or 10 years, it was supposed to be every single public school in New York City was supposed to have the exact same ethnic demographics as the entire city as a whole. So that wouldn't be a big lift or anything like that. He had previously endorsed that. Now he's stepped away from it somewhere. So you know who this guy is and what's in his heart, and now you're seeing what he is going to moderate himself as he's trying to get over the finish line.
When people are happy about that, I saw Tim Miller being like, this is bad, talking about that clip of the IDF, this conspiracy theory. But he said, it's like it's been good that he's walked away from some of these policies. I don't think that's
I don't
good.
think you could say walked away. I mean,
Or
he's not talking about them.
Moderated them.
No, he has moderated some of them in cross examinations.
But we know what he actually believes.
We know what he actually believes, and
That's important.
he'll be the mayor of a city where bad shit happens. And what's going to happen? What is the reaction going to be the next time there is bad shit? There was bad shit during COVID. De Blasio was here. He acted really, really badly. There was bad shit in 9/11. There's the last little gasp of good acting from Giuliani at first, at least. But like stuff is going to happen here. What's he going to do in response? We know what those responses are going to look like. What we don't know, and what he probably doesn't know because he hasn't even studied it that much, I don't think, is just the overlapping ways in which the governing structure of this area, which is insane. You have to get the governor to approve what you're going to do with the buses. Is going to restrain him. But
when you know what he really believes, and there's a crisis of some sort, and the Mamdani of 2023 DSA conferences, that's who he is now. And he'll think of that response. And as a politician, you have to, balance. You have a lot of people you have to please. But I also know that if he knew he could get away with some of this stuff, that he'd do it.
Yeah.
The only reason he's not doing it now is because it's not because he's rethought anything. It's because he's constrained by reality. But if there's because politicians screw up their entire careers when they see a lane that doesn't exist. They say, oh, now I actually think I can do this policy that's kind of crazy that I've been kind of I'm not really talking about, and it will blow up their careers. There's a million examples of this. But I worry about that. It's like, do I think the policy paper where we can like house homeless people and like disuse parts of subway stations or whatever the hell he said is so bananas that I don't suspect that he'll try to push that through. And there's a lot of people who say, yeah, it's good. We can vote for him now. I'm like, yeah, but the person who is moderating his views still believes that.
At some point, you can make recent past.
You can make a Trump analogy too, because Trump said a lot of crazy shit in 2015, 16, and 17 after he was president. And we could say, well, Ajit Pai is going to tell him he can't do this with the FCC. Well, we don't say that anymore because he's got a lapdog for the FCC. He's moved the Overton window.
Exactly.
He can meddle in the hiring decisions of media companies. It's insane.
But he also has no ideology in the way that Mamdani will be the most ideological mayor in New York history. I think. I'm trying to think back of Fiorello LaGuardia was not an ideologue.
Those were a lot of very practical politicians.
Practical politicians. That's a euphemism. For him, Trump is always trying things out, seeing the reaction, seeing what the crowd will respond to. I mean, that's effectively where the Muslim ban came from. I don't think he'd been cooking this up for years, but it got a big response from his people. Mamdani is trying to pull back from the things that he actually believes because a lot of them don't get a response. He's not testing it out to see. He has the whole palette of beliefs, and it's like, okay, so which ones can I get? The palette's bad, though. It's a bad palette.
Bad palette.
I wonder if we should talk about this New York Times story with Kash Patel and Joe Kent, who's the director of the what is his
Director of National
official
Intelligence
title?
Is Tulsi Gabbard and his deputy. Yeah.
He's her
deputy. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently he has been looking into some of these purported connections between Charlie Kirk's assassin and perhaps various foreign governments.
Yeah.
Kash
Patel.
Various foreign
it's
Is there like a list of 10?
It's not in the story.
Switzerland. Germany.
It's not in the story.
With the Switzerland.
It's not in the story. We don't have the details. The New York Times wrote about this. The story is credited to a number of people who are kind of providing this information without revealing their identities. So I don't know. The tension here is between Joe Kent and Kash Patel. And Kash Patel seems to be somewhat perturbed by what's going on here. People are defending him, saying Joe Kent is doing his job. It is literally his job to look into whether or not there are foreign people trying to do nefarious things in our politics. Is it fair to say that he's just doing his job? No. Okay.
Absolutely unfair.
Why?
No, I mean, Patel's mad about a couple of things. I mean, there's people from Tulsi's office, according to the Times, who have been going to lower level people at the FBI and trying to get information from them. And apparently it's just like there's a hierarchy thing.
Mm-hmm.
But,
and they've got a case to prosecute.
Yeah, a case to prosecute.
Got the guy in custody. And
it really fucks up their case too. When you have a public spat about who's really responsible, you think the defense is not going to bring this up.
Oh, absolutely.
It really undermines their case.
Yeah.
And what is also clear is the FBI within minutes, within days, was investigating this very thing. Was there some? Because it's part of what they do. What's going on here, I think, is something different. Is why is this out there in the media? Why is it causing all this tumult within the White House? Because they're talking about Israel, right? It seems very, because it's not mentioned in the story. Is there a foreign government? What other foreign government has been discussed widely in the conservative moronosphere? In the moronosphere has been talking about this incessantly, some of them more moronic than others, saying it outright, and others taking their time and saying, well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because of this, that's just boring conspiracy stuff, but it's taken hold. And I think one of the things also not mentioned in that piece is, and this is a guess, but I think it's a pretty good guess, is that they're responding to what happened with the Epstein stuff. Everyone in the conservative moronosphere was talking about Epstein being an agent of Israel, and this what they don't want you to know, and that's why he was murdered. He was murdered by the Israelis, and then they're not releasing the files, right? And Kash Patel and the Bongo Man, Dan Bongino, come out and they're like, there's nothing, trust us, there's nothing, we've looked into it. Two people who had actually talked about the conspiracy previously, but what they're saying in a real life situation is, oh, I'm sorry, I actually have a real job now, and I get to look at this stuff and there's nothing there. Whereas before, I'm a professional wrestler and I'm, throwing this stuff to the masses and they love it and they eat it up. But now in a practical way, I can't invent an investigation. I can't invent evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was an Israeli spy or something like this. And so they learned that lesson of how bad it got for them. And it got really, really bad. And look, all the reporting of the stuff, of the Epstein stuff, the long tail of that. Epstein killed himself in 2019, right? I mean, this is 6 years after that. And this is disrupting the Trump administration. And now these idiots out there have moved on from the conspiracy about Epstein to the conspiracy about Charlie Kirk. And guess who is the linchpin again? Israel, because everything comes back to Israel, because these people have what they used to call a brain virus, the woke brain virus. You have an Israel brain virus. And everything comes back to Israel, regardless of evidence. And it's, well, isn't this suspicious? The fact that there's so much of this stuff out there, and so many of those people within the administration are close to those people who are pushing this nonsense, it's coming out in the media. They're talking about multiple people talking to the Times, multiple people within the Trump administration, within an inner circle. And they're getting this out there for a reason. The Times is the enemy of the people, right? It's the enemy of everything. And yet they're talking to Maggie Haberman about this. Why? Well, because look at the disruptive clowns that are, spinning conspiracy theories. Nothing in that piece says anything about conspiracy theory. Nothing says anything about Candace Owens. Nothing says anything about Tucker Carlson or Israel. Yeah. But it's clear foreign governments and law, well, they should investigate it. They should do it now. You should investigate if there's anyone from the Norwegian decathlon team that was involved. Why not? Why not? I just made it up. Like Israel, you made that up because you hate Israel. And when people become obsessed with Jews and obsessed with Israel, they find it the root of everything. That is what's motivating this, not the normal process, which in the piece, the FBI says, we immediately started on that. We immediately started looking at, foreign connections because that's what we do. But why do they not trust us? Why are they trying to go around us? Why are they trying to do more of an investigation? Because I can imagine the people on the Gabbard side of this or on the Joe Kent side leaking it too. Because this excites the base. Like they're in there, they're working for us. They're trying, our Trump people are trying to get to the bottom of what Israel is doing. So I think it's incredibly depressing that these clowns are doing this. And do I trust Kash Patel? No. But there's a lot of good people at the FBI.
Kash Patel, who literally published a book with like a prospective enemies list, or targets who should be investigated immediately and prosecuted immediately. That was his wind up.
But then he walked into the building, right?
Then he walked into the building.
And it was like, okay, I have an agency to run here that actually does real things, not podcasts which I spin conspiracy theories. And that's when people always say oh, DC got to you. No, it didn't. Most of the times it didn't. I mean, there's times when I guess that's probably true. But there is reality of how government functions, and it's often very, very slow, very, very stupid, and very, very bad. But the fact that you think that there's all of these people with cloaks on in the basement of buildings being the deep state. I mean, look, the evidence of this stuff, I just reread Jeff Gerth's 4-part thing in CJR about the Russiagate stuff. Revisit it. It's a fascinating thing. And you're like, oh, I get why some of them think there's a deep state when you see some of the stuff that happened within the FBI, et cetera. But I also realized in that the great enemy of this in Trump's world in the Russiagate stuff was Peter Strzok. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Because he had the text that came out where he's like, we'll stop him about Trump. But it was also Peter Strzok, according to Jeff Gerth's reporting, that was the one that was going to the New York Times who, are dropping these bombshell stories about all these communications between the Trump administration and Russia and saying, it's not true. Literally him going to people saying, it's not true.
Stop it.
Stop this stuff. It's bad for the investigation. It's bad for everything. And so there's your deep state, which it's just conflicted, shitty DC partisans / people doing their jobs.
I realize that I'm supposed to be chagrined that it's come to this in government. But I do like, if we're going to have this, if we're going to have conspiratorial influencers be significant in politics to the point where some of them have senior government positions, then I want them to eat each other's faces off. Yeah, that's what I want. Like right now, we're seeing a similar dynamic, let's say, between I think Tom Homan, however you say his name, and Kristi Noem, hate each other. Like the Border Patrol and ICE are like at each other's throats. Oh, it's a shame to see that happening to the people who are doing such great work right now. No, this is what we've got. We gave ourselves this mess. So at least they can do is entertain me by absolutely scratching each other's eyeballs out and having to deal with interfacing with reality.
I mean, but isn't the defect, however, that this does have tangible consequences?
Yeah.
Like the stuff that ICE is doing in the streets, the actual implementation of the Trump administration's stated policy, it could be more calamitous. If it were,
it's being very calamitous right now.
There'd be dead people. Like dead civilians, dead agents, more dead agents. In fact, it is sufficiently insane now that it continues to raise the temperature, correct? Yeah. Like it's not hard to imagine. Like we are on the precipice of plenty of bad things, and it has a lot to do with the quality or lack thereof of the people that are being placed into office and the fact that their petty disputes are almost certainly amplifying their incompetence.
Well, yes, and I didn't put them in office and argued against them because of what they would do with their immigration apparatus front and center along with tariffs. So it's not necessarily on me.
No,
but
I wasn't blaming you.
If they have a conflict between each other, that means there's going to be selective leaking wars to the New York Times and elsewhere. And I think it's going to reduce their overall effectiveness.
That was actually going to be one of my questions as well. And you already suggested that I suppose it could be either side that is actually placing this.
And it's funny because at the end of the day, they don't trust OAN. They don't. It's like, no, we need to go to the New York Times because they have some credibility, right, on these issues. But it is interesting to see the wars, the ideological wars that happen within an administration. This is kind of a new thing for Republicans. In the Bush administration, you had Paul O'Neill, not Paul O'Neill. He's for the Yankees. What's his name? O'Neill. Wrote the book.
I want to say Paul O'Neill too. I think it was Paul O'Neill.
We have to check that because let me check if it was that O'Neill who wrote that book. But it was one of the first cracks in the sort of edifice of the unified post 9/11 stuff.
And there were a couple of
realists
among
in
the
there,
neocons.
and you have. Colin Powell, who's like offended by, he goes out there and makes that speech. And so you have stuff like that. That's normal. In the Reagan administration, you had, what's his name?
David Stockman.
David Stockman, who wrote that.
Conservative Locked in the White House.
Locked in the White House, which started as an Atlantic piece, I think, that was like, wow, that's like, this is all coming apart. That's normal. But you don't have big schismatic ideological battles. And they're so confusing in Trump world that recall before the Charlie Kirk stuff, that Laura Loomer, this lunatic Laura Loomer, is meeting with the president in disassembling Mike Waltz's team. Mike Waltz is gone. The people that were beneath him and like peppered through were fired, one of whom I know. And I was like, this happened. He's like, that's why it happened, yeah. And now Laura Loomer is out there fighting Tucker Carlson, and she's Jewish and fighting all the anti-Semites that like the Candace Owens, who I think is a real anti-Semite. And I'm like, wait, wasn't that the woman? They're all talking about neocons. Wasn't she just trying to purge the neocons and successfully doing so? I mean, most of them were not neocons. I think there's probably one or two that would be maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, a neocon. But the craziness of this administration is that it's not, as I said before, Twitter is real life in this administration. That they pay close attention to it. It matters. It moves things. And the ideological fissures that you get within this administration are impossible to keep up with. It's like the Shachtmanites in like the Democratic Socialists or the Socialists that became the Democratic Socialists in Michael Harrington. And apparently Eli's doing an episode on this, which I'm very excited about, of Breaking History. But like all of that stuff, it's schismatic in those really, really small ways that have huge consequences because these people have power. And now you see this leaking war about a foreign government. And the one thing in that piece is that, you know what? Let's imagine a foreign government was involved. It's ridiculous. Let's pretend it happens, right? I'm still right. Because if it happened, the FBI would have investigated, as I said, immediately. It's part of our process to see this person's connections. And we do look overseas because we have that capability. After 9/11, that was what the big problems with 9/11 that we saw, particularly, we can see it in the book, The Looming Tower, the Lawrence Wright book, was the fact that the CIA and the FBI, nobody's communicating with each other. They had no NSA. There was no communications, and there were indications of things that nobody else knew about. And so they integrated a lot of that stuff. And they were looking to foreign elements for everything. I mean, you had Iran trying to commit an assassination. I think the sentencing was yesterday of Masha Alinejad, the woman with the big hair who's great.
Oh, yeah.
They tried to kill her in Brooklyn. And those were people hired by the Iranian state. They were on top of this. They are paying attention to this stuff. So it's not like it wouldn't have happened. But if it comes up, it would be the fact that, you know, Candace Owens and these people whose names, the Voldemorts that I don't want to mention, they would almost mistakenly be right. And you would look at what they said, and it's all so crazy that the Trump administration was involved according to Candace. His wife might have been involved, Charlie Kirk's wife. It's TPUSA, his organization, probably knew something. This guy who was standing there, you listen to this stuff. Trapdoors. Like, this is mental illness as one of the biggest podcasts in the country. I don't know how many people are watching that, listening to that, the way that I do, just checking in to see if, you know, she was like the guy on TV or shot himself on the broadcast, because it's so insane. Like, you expect anything at this point. But I think it's a problematic thing when, you know, I was talking about this last night on the Moynihan Report with Bridget Fettisty of like, how important is this stuff? Are we giving this oxygen that it doesn't deserve? And then you see a story like this, and I'm like, okay, so who's seeding that within DNI or whatever it is, of, you know, whoever is behind this? Someone is doing that. And I don't think if the Candace Owens stuff and all this conspiracy stuff had bubbled up, I don't think it'd see that story. So I think it has a more profound effect, you know? Yeah. Did we find out O'Neill's name?
Yeah, it's Paul.
It is Paul O'Neill.
Yeah.
Okay, not to be confused with the asshole who played for the Yankees.
Yes.
Don't like Paul O'Neill.
You just don't like the way he kicks. He kicked the runner out at first base.
Yes, yeah. That was the Yankee. Yeah. Used to slap balls out of the hand, used to kick people. Yeah, it's the Yankee team.
Yeah, I'm not paying any attention to baseball at
Can't
this
even
point.
pronounce baseball?
I am mostly paying attention to NBA basketball and ignoring the controversies apparently associated with the NBA at the moment, because despite the fact that it's shocking, like, Wemby is just so much more interesting. So,
by the way, if you're talking about gambling, not shocking. Yeah, like nothing about that is shocking.
Not shocking.
Right,
I mean, when like
the see-through tables were cool.
When Chauncey Billups is mentioned in an indictment alongside like the Gambinos and a bunch of other crime families, like, that is actually kind of shocking.
Then
like his special spy glasses that he's using to see through cards as he defrauds half the NBA or something like that.
I think it's hilarious because, by the way, if you're at those tables, you deserve to lose your money. You walk in, there's a bunch of guineas there with, hey, how you doing?
Well, I don't know if they were there. I don't know if they were there. They were giving him the tech. I don't know if they were actually participating in the game.
If you have a bunch of Italians in there, leave that card game. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Grandma.
That's racist.
She's from Calabria. Calabria knows how to do organized crime. But no, I thought the whole thing was quite funny. And were you surprised by this? Because I wasn't surprised by this at all.
I was a little surprised by it, especially because the Terry Rozier bit, the NBA, it was at least reported that he had been cleared The fact that the feds were still investigating and still determined to get him was another thing entirely.
You got to be skeptical of a story in one way, because the New York Post has been all over it, and they miss the heyday when, Paul Castellano getting shot in front of Sparks Steakhouse was like his mangled body on the cover kind of thing. And it's like, the Genoveses and the Gambinos, and you look at them and it's like Menudo now. Yeah. It's like there's nobody, like it's not
this is their major operation.
It's a guy who calls himself that. Oh, by the way, there's one thing I wanted to mention on the last story that just reminded me of a clip of the New York Times story, which I thought you'd be interested in. The one about the DNI stuff. This is a sentence in the story of Maggie Haberman. It's a triple byline. Just at the end, somebody mentioned Antifa in the story. And then,
which is just an idea.
Yeah, well, the New York Times says, Antifa is a term for a sometimes violent protest culture of far-left activists, but is not an actual organization. That's what the New York Times said. What, you mean that they don't file taxes? I mean, if the like, what is it, Rose City Antifa calls itself Antifa, I believe them. Like it's not an organization in what way?
Yeah,
I hate that argument. It's not. Biden tried that. Do you remember that? During the debate,
Antifa is just an idea.
Yeah. It's an idea. It's like it's an idea, but they have logos. Yeah, a lot of ideas have logos.
There are members.
There are members.
There are members of this leaderless movement.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I just wanted to go back to that, and we can go back to talking about how the game that you love so much is corrupted by.
I mean, it doesn't actually matter. I talked to our buddy Ethan Strauss about this like a week ago when the news broke, and it was very interesting and exciting at that moment. But I think Ethan also suggested that this is probably not going to matter at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's certainly not great for the NBA, but at the same time, it kind of is. Like, you're talking about the NBA in week one, and week one has actually been uniquely exciting because there's been genuine good basketball.
Has anyone been suspended from the NBA?
Well,
like current players?
The guys who no current players. Actually, was Terry Rozier active? I think
he is active.
Was he active?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Chauncey Billups was the active coach in Portland, and he is gone because he's been arrested, so he can't do the job anymore.
Oh, they arrested him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bad for the team.
I think that.
So I mean, they weren't going to do anything anyways. But again, I think it's generally good for the league because you're talking about basketball. And again, there are actually really interesting narratives. There are good narratives right now.
Okay.
And no one actually cares about the gambling.
People got so excited about that Desperate Housewives broad getting her kid into a not so great school.
That's right.
And it was like she pretended to be a rower or something.
And that has probably had more negative consequence for her than this story has had negative consequence for the NBA.
I do want to clarify. I think it was USC. It is a good school, but it's like she spent you spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Go to like Princeton. I mean, come on.
You should be able to buy your way into USC always.
Yeah, that
and
should be
forevermore.
fine.
That's
I'm totally okay with that.
A birthright issue.
Zohran probably not.
Not to French goodbye it, but to register my thought. I think Ethan is wrong and that you are wrong.
Okay.
Or you could be right on a short term. It doesn't hurt the NBA right now, but I think this is the tip of a spear of a gambling counter offensive, just like that people in Portland, once the measure 210 or whatever it was called, just showed to be an abject failure. Suddenly the attitudes towards legalization, or at least the implementation of some of these drug ideas, started to go the other direction. I think gambling went from being prohibited in 49 states or 48 states to being on every, not just like advertisement, but in every broadcast of every game.
That I get like DraftKings.
The next pitch in this World Series, you can do a prop bet on it.
But that's the point. It still is. What's interesting is that the sports journalism world isn't really talking about this story a week removed.
Well, there isn't a sports journalism world anymore, and
no,
most
but there
of
is.
And most of what that there is is financed way more than pharmaceuticals ever did. Cable TV, by gambling.
Wait, are you suggesting, and maybe you're not, that because of the kind of normalization of gambling, because you get the DraftKings commercial and everything, that it just doesn't resonate with people anymore because we all gamble? It's like this is part of sports now.
No, what I'm suggesting is that true sports fans, or at least a subset of true sports fans, are sick of this shit and are going to think like, we went too fast. It went too fast in the other direction.
Maybe.
We need to correct by, for instance, not having the broadcasters encourage us to bet in the middle of them talking about the game. I think that we're going to see some movement towards advertising restrictions or some kind of content restrictions going in this, because at some point it gets gross. You're doing prop bets on a guy's minutes that you've never heard of.
Wait, you can't gamble in New York. And if I can't place a bet on DraftKings on a game, can I?
Yeah, you do it online, I think.
You can? Is that
you may
real?
not be able to do it within particular states, and I
Because
don't
I
know
tried
if
to
New
bet
York
on
is
something.
limited.
I think it was maybe it was because it was crypto based on like Polymarket.
Yeah.
And I think it was during the campaign. I was like, oh, let's try this out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about it, and it wouldn't let me.
Well, there were some like national restrictions then.
National restrictions, and they're based in...
those don't exist anymore.
Polymarket's
though.
based in like, you know,
But I think
Guinea-Bissau or something.
Yeah,
It has
I think
some weird...
that's much more regulated than sports betting is.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sports betting is wide open.
So the question then, that you suspect it's the league that's going to take some action here, or it is actually, say, government officials who are likely to take
under
some
the
action?
pressure of the public. I think there's going to be a public backlash against the ubiquity of sports betting.
I mean, I just don't see it among the fandom at this point. And there really is a very robust sports media ecosystem. It is actually the same thing that's happened in the news business broadly has happened there. It is a lot of independent content creators who have these incredibly successful channels who are making this content that gets hundreds of thousands of views. And none of it is about the gambling at this point. All of it is about
journalists,
like, Wemby.
And this is the thing, like, you know, people on Twitter and have Substacks are different. But traditionally, what a journalist would do in a situation like this, and I don't, maybe this has happened, I'm not sure it has, I haven't seen it, is that when they suspect there's some sort of bad repercussions from something like gambling, they go and they find the person somewhere in the middle of Colorado who lost everything because they were betting on, you know, baseball games or something. I haven't seen a ton of those stories. You need that personalized version of that, of all the people whose lives have been torn asunder because they can't control their betting, and every time they turn on a game, it's telling them to bet more. That kind, I think, is a silly argument, and people are always working backwards from the crisis, right, to create the crisis or to suggest that there's something really bad happening, because I haven't seen a ton of that.
I've seen political commentary to that degree with some
I know Ethan
politicians
talks about it,
going there. But I think what would drive public opinion would not be that. It would just be this star I like just got caught shaving points.
Yeah, sure,
But I mean, it won't
Ohtani
be
with
any present stars doing that sort of stuff. I can't imagine that.
Let's bet.
Present superstars doing that stuff?
Present above average regular players being caught in the next 12 months, one at least.
Like actually, like DNP, because I want to get the money. Or actually, well, I guess there's been some suggestion about that, because both LeBron and the Brow, forgetting his name, Anthony Davis, who used to be on the Lakers, now playing for Dallas, their names have been kind of in the mix a little bit, but it's because someone who Damon Jones was suggesting or feeding information to these various betting gangsters, like he's not going to play tonight. Although it turns out he was wrong some percentage of the time in very big ways, and they demanded their money back. So
did they get their money back?
If you're
probably,
I'm wondering how good these like low like C team Gambinos are, if they actually make you.
I think they could get the money out of Damon.
As bad as athletes and actors and other people who come into a ton of money when they're in their 20s are with financial management, the degree to which those people go bankrupt, there's going to be.
These kids are a little better, but sure.
There's going to be individuals who will be tempted to make some easy money. And it's an easy money to fake an injury and make someone else a whole lot of money.
And it doesn't matter how much money you make. If gambling is like irrespective of how much money you have. There are people, of course, that you'll stand behind and you can't get to the cash register because they're buying 100 scratch tickets because they think that's the ticket out. But gambling, listen to Norm Macdonald talk about gambling, who was a degenerate gambler and talked like quite openly about it. And it didn't matter. It was like, and I don't know if it was him that talked about it. It was like sometimes losing itself was a rush. To like lose $300,000.
I don't get that.
He tells the story like he would bet on like he would go into the casino in Vegas, where this back in the day when that was where you could gamble, right? You can gamble on sports, and he would like bet on like a Padres game, just like randomly. And that it's like the action is the thing that you like. I know nothing about this. I never gamble. I never have gambled. I don't like gambling, because I think the thing that professional sports needs to deal with is both intentional walks and the fucking music at
Dodger Stadium is the
what
the
is
worst.
going on?
Yeah.
What is the problem?
Dude, it's every pitch.
It's between every pitch, and it's twice as loud than any other stadium.
Huh.
So you can't hear the broadcasters.
You can't hear the broadcaster because they're playing.
Dun, 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 dun.
Not even that. They're playing like
5,000.
actual songs.
Oh, yeah.
They kept on playing like fucking Welcome to the Jungle, like the
playing
intro.
that a lot.
Like, Jesus Christ, like a strip club. It's like, you know, that when it comes in, it's like,
Wait, that
on
song
the
is about a
stage,
strip club?
Cassidy. Yeah, I know what happens there. I don't gamble, but I gamble with my reputation all the time.
And you don't really have to listen to the play-by-play guy in the strip club.
Well, I like,
as
what's
much.
his name? The old guy. What's his, the Garagiola of this. Who's the 3,000-year-old guy? Who are the broadcasters now in the World Series?
It's some kid named Joe Davis and fucking John Smoltz.
Oh, I was watching that because I was watching it on a bootleg stream, and they have one. Yeah, I guess it's like the large
Ghost
print,
of Harry
it's
Carey.
like the large print version. It's like get a couple of old guys
The
on
bootleg
top.
stream has other people commentating.
It was
on
a
the game?
Canadian stream.
Oh, okay.
They had different in Canada. They had
Also, he had Buck Martinez and his dentures.
and it might have been Buck Martinez.
Huh.
Yeah, but I can't remember who it was. But that. I was so angry.
Yeah.
I was like, would you stop between every fucking pitch?
Yeah.
Can't the players say this is a little distracting?
I think they play with earplugs.
I think they play with AirPods.
I don't know.
But I texted Matt during this, and this is not a French goodbye. This is the opposite of that, a very short one, because it was one sentence. And I texted Matt that I think that Ohtani is the best baseball player to ever play the game.
It's crazy.
It's insane to watch. I mean, the most beautiful stroke I've ever seen in my absolute.
That's what
and then
she said.
seeing him on the mound and like pitching the next day, and you know, he gave up like 2 runs in 6 innings or something. The guy is lights out every time he pitches. He is,
And he's cute and he's really funny.
and he's funny and like and he's Japanese, and it's like talk about the multicultural Olympics there of the Canadians.
The Blue Jays
The
won.
Blue Jays won.
Yeah, it's 2-2 now.
Yeah, 2-2 now.
Look at him. Look at him. He's from Chicago, so he's rooting for Canada. Fuck you.
Yeah. Our producer, who's
Fucking go back to Alaska.
He's good at booking guests that don't show up sometimes, but it's fine. But when it comes to sports, he's like, who threw the ball the fastest? Which one? Is he from Korea? I'm like, no, we do have Korean players. But thank God for American imperialism,
Yes.
right? If we had not ended the war as we had. That's my argument for August 6th and August 9th, 1945. It gave us Ohtani.
Wow.
Yeah. Think about it, Matt. Don't think about it too hard because it falls apart immediately. But yeah. But thank God for American occupation and American influence in the Venezuelan oil, because it's the only country in South America that plays baseball. Because of American influence in the oil.
I mean, it's a Caribbean country.
It's in South America.
It's
I mean,
Caribbean country.
is how many players are from Curacao? A small island.
All of them.
But like the Dominican Republic, it's like, guys, stop producing baseball. It's annoying, actually. There's too many shortstops. Like, literally stop it.
We're gonna do some. We should do some live shows in Miami during the World Baseball Classic.
Yes,
coming up.
Yes.
I mean, do
coming
we
up.
have to? I don't.
You don't have to come.
Baseball. Yeah.
Baseball, yeah. I know because Jamaica's produced so
mean,
many great players.
I'm not particularly concerned about it. Basketball more interesting to me. I also don't care about track and field. If I'm
the
honest.
Jamaicans are good. Yeah. I will say that I don't talk about hockey only on because people email me about it, and I just want to say that this Bruins team should be arrested. I wish this entire Bruins team would go to Venezuela and I say, hey guys, the only way back is on this boat. And it's full of these packages that might be coke. Who knows? Go. Go.
Too soon.
And I would call fucking Tulsi Gabbard and be like, by the way, we got some of these motherfuckers that are full of cocaine, and the entire team would be vaporized
We
without
don't know that isn't how this is working now.
is
Actually,
Morgan Geeky and Pasto are the best.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, bye guys. Go. All right. And then we should say bye to these people too.
bye.
Go.
Bye. This team is stressing me out.
We know of new methods of attack. The Trojan horse, the fifth car.